maximum compensation that you know that you deserve. Do not deal with the insurance companies on your own. That's impossible. They make it as such. And John Levine will help you to take back control of your life. Again, you'll always talk about your case with an actual attorney. They answer the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you to take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Call Anajar Levine, my accident attorneys. Anajar Levine, accident attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Yes, sir. It's a remote broadcast today. Technical issues already. It's Russo and Rizzo live here in ESPN 106.3. My name is Colin Russo. Join alongside me, Mike Rizzo for ESPN 106.3. We're on the road today, not at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. We are at Brick Innovation Campus. We're going to get the Boca Raton All Great Chefs tailgate today, Mike.
You're going around the world, I heard. I heard through the grapevine that you're going to be eating around the world tonight.
So what's great about the Great Chefs tailgate, of course, you can still get tickets at the door at the Brick Innovation Campus over here in Boca Raton. Starts at 6:30 tonight. The great part is there's dozens of excellent restaurants and brewing companies that are going to be available to everybody who's here. And whether it's sample sizing or however much you want, you could easily get as much as you need.
Right.
But here's the fun of it. It reminds me a little bit of Epcot at Disneyland. I'm at Disneyland here. This is right up my alley. This is a perfect situation for me to walk around and try everything. And there's a couple of restaurants here that I have not had the pleasure of trying yet. I've only been here for a couple months now. So,
Yep.
And how did I prepare for this, Mike, you may ask? How do you prepare for something like this when you know you're going to be trying 20-plus restaurants? You don't eat, and I haven't eaten since last night, and it's growling like a dog, my stomach is. So I'm very curious at how the next couple hours are going to go out, but I'm excited.
I followed suit. I have not eaten. Let's see.
So you got to do this with me.
Yeah, I am. But I got Boca Bowl Weekly here tonight. I'm looking forward to some great guests. We're going to be speaking to Reggie LaRoche, Miami Dolphin legend O.J. McDuffie, and then Gianna Pacinelli. So we're going to have a lot of guests here at Brick as well. By the way, Boca Raton Innovation Campus is short for Brick. And I did not know that until I walked into Brick today. So.
Well, you came here the other day
I
to
did,
test
I
it,
did.
and you didn't put it together then.
But I'm such a drone in a sense of I just type the address in and I just show up and I just call the contact hey, I'm here, I need help, But ecstatic to be here at Brick. Can't wait to do Boca Bowl Weekly here tonight. Can't wait to have our great guests. And come, let's say 7 o'clock, Colin. I'd say 7:30 when I'm done kind of tearing everything down. Oh, man, I'm going to let it rip.
Oh, the food.
I'm going to let it rip.
We're going to be rolling here.
I'm going to let it rip.
A lot of moves in the NFL side of things throughout the day today. It seems like after Week 6 was really the breaking point for a couple of these teams now to make a move. Everybody was telling the Jets a couple weeks ago when the whole thing was coming out, that Davante Adams should now get moved. Guess what? He was finally moved. And to who? The New York Jets reunited with Aaron Rodgers in New York. The disgruntled Davante Adams officially moved. The Jets acquiring Davante Adams here, and the Raiders don't have to spend basically a dime of that contract. A little bit of dead cap this year, and the year after, it seems like the financial side of things, the Raiders will really just dump them off, and the Jets are a little desperate, as we saw last night with that Monday Night Football loss to the Buffalo Bills, which was one of the worst games I've ever watched in my entire life.
Yeah, a lot of it was a referee show.
It sure was.
It was a referee show. I thought Rodgers and the receivers played good. Alan Lazard went for over 100 and a touchdown. I thought I saw some good things from Garrett Wilson in that game as well. But I think this is the Jets doubling down and going, listen, Rodgers and Adams had a ton of success in Green Bay. We're in go-for-it-all mode. This could be Aaron Rodgers' last year in New York. So I'm not surprised at all to see Davante Adams go to New York. And it's hysterical that the two teams that played last night go out and get the two probably most coveted receivers that were on the block. You know, Amari Cooper with the Browns and Davante Adams with the Raiders. So
in your head, which was a better move?
I mean, it's got to be Davante Adams going back with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I try explaining this to Jet fans and you as well on the show. This isn't Aaron Rodgers from 2019, 2020, but this helps. This helps. This is another weapon for him. And the good news is I think that they could hit the ground running because of that chemistry that they had in Green Bay.
I'm on the opposite side of this.
Really?
I was high in the Jets, but what I saw yesterday was a plethora of penalties, an over-officiated game that could be admitted. But on top of that, it was a disgrace how many penalties there were in that game, especially on the Jets side of things. Did you watch that game last night and think the biggest problem? I know Mike Williams had that drop late in the game and ran a wrong route and this and that and the other. But did I really watch that game and think the Jets' biggest need is wide receiver right now? And I know the wide receiver is the most readily available position, and you could do the most you possibly can to put Aaron Rodgers in a position to succeed. But ultimately, that team needs coaching.
Yep.
And I don't know if I saw last night that Jeff Ulbrich was really the future at the head coach there, and the new play caller as well. To me, I don't know if Davante Adams is a plug and play. All of a sudden, this team wins 12 games. That's not my perspective. And so because of that, I look at Amari Cooper. This is a guy who's been, quietly disgruntled, a guy who doesn't really say much to the media, stays out of the way, but has had a very consistent NFL career. I know he's had problems this year with Deshaun Watson, but generally, Amari Cooper's been readily available, and he's been readily productive in all three of the places prior to where he has played. I think Amari Cooper steps into an offense that probably needs him now, and that he is probably ready to immediately contribute because he's not the diva type that the other receivers are. He will keep to himself. And you know this as a Browns fan.
I do.
Amari stays out of the way. And I think it's a good ad. It's for a team that is 4-2 and a somewhat ugly 4-2. And they could use the offensive help. I watched last night and thought, the Bills might be able to use a receiver or two. And that's exactly what they did.
He dropped a lot of passes this year for the Browns, but I'm a firm believer that he just needed a new scene. I think everybody on that Cleveland Brown team could use a new scene with the Deshaun Watson distraction, but that's neither here nor there. I'm a big fan of Cooper. I really liked Cooper for the Browns. When the Browns made the playoffs last year, he was a huge part of that. I know it ended sour for Flacco and the Browns against the Texans in Houston, but Cooper was a huge part of that playoff run and that playoff push. I think him and Josh Allen are going to do great things. And you mentioned that he stays out of the way. Stephon Diggs didn't necessarily stay out of the way.
Which is why I think it would be a good little marriage they got.
Right. So I think this is the Bills' understanding, like, hey, he's going to keep to himself. He's going to be a team guy. He's going to be good for the locker room. I don't necessarily know that with Davante Adams. Now, I think since Adams is with Aaron Rodgers, this thing is going to be okay. But at the same time, you saw him throw a fit in Vegas for, 2 years now? So what happens if this thing goes south for the Jets? And in my opinion, it already has. Do you agree with that? This thing has already gone south for the Jets.
I agree. They're in a lot of trouble. And all of a sudden, Davante Adams needs three things. He needs to be personally productive on the wide receiver side of things in terms of statistically. He needs to be getting paid, and he needs to be winning. All of a sudden, when one of the three doesn't work, whether it's winning, production, this, that, the other, all of a sudden Davante Adams is not happy. We've seen it twice now. This is a big theme with how wide receivers handle themselves, especially to the media and how they handle their trade negotiations in the past few years. All of a sudden, if the Jets continue losing games, Davante Adams is going to have to suck it up. They traded you. But it's hard to please guys like that. And I don't know if the Jets are necessarily going to take a huge step now because of the addition of Davante Adams. Now, it's hard to doubt Aaron Rodgers. So I understand that, and I'm going to keep the door open for them. But in terms of immediate production and a team that had honestly needed that position group in the wide receiver, I think the Bills, hit this out of the park. They didn't give up a ton for him. It's a bargain of a receiver. You don't have a lot of money tied up to him. And he's going to immediately help the team to win. And they're in a good position. They're not playing from behind. They're in a takeable division. I think this is a good move. And I like that move more than I like the Davante Adams move.
Can I say something real quick about the Jets? I think it's time for them to stop worrying about what Aaron Rodgers thinks. Oh, is Davante Adams going to be happy? Oh, this. They need to come together as a team.
Yeah.
They need to put their egos to the side and come together as a team. You asked me last night. You said you just said, you go, Riz, do you think wide receiver was the glaring thing that the Jets need? No, the Jets need cohesiveness. They need kumbaya. They need someone to go in there and tell them, hey, man, enough of the me stuff. Let's start acting as a team, and let's start pushing for a winnable division. By the way, I don't know how winnable that division is anymore with them dropping that game to the Bills.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say, though, is that they had that game and multiple opportunities, and I can't just say, like, they had it. But in terms of playing well, it wasn't ugly. It was okay. It was ugly because of the refs and because of the wind, but I wouldn't say it was as ugly as them not being able to move the ball down the field down 10-9 against the Denver Broncos, and I wouldn't say it was as ugly as that Minnesota Viking game got.
Right.
I think ultimately that they put themselves in a couple positions there where they should have either scored a touchdown, they should have made the field goal, and defensively they were pretty stout. So off of that, they played better, they played harder. But I didn't watch that game, and I thought, let's go get a wide receiver.
Yep.
I didn't think that. That just seems like you're trying to please almighty King Aaron Rodgers. And
right.
That's the glaring theme of that trade is Aaron Rodgers needs to have grapes fed to him from somebody to the side, and he's leaning on a glass tower.
Like the ancient Greeks
yes.
and the Romans?
Yes, he needs that. And that's not the New York way. That's not the New York Jets.
And I agree with everything you just said. They need to come together as a team. They need to stop bowing down Aaron Rodgers. I still felt the move to get rid of Robert Saleh, head coach, was because of Rodgers. And I'm not buying the whole, the owner talked to Rodgers the night before, but they didn't talk about Saleh. And I'm not trying to get into yesterday's news, but cohesiveness, team. That's what the Jets need to worry about, not necessarily bowing down to Rodgers and getting his buddy Devontae Adams.
Live here at the Brick Innovation Campus down here in Boca Raton. It's the Great Chef's Tailgate. It's going to be kicking off for us over at 6:30 right after the show today, but you can still get your tickets at spiritofgivingnetwork.org/events, or you can buy tickets at the door. It's going to be a terrific event. Over 20 restaurants, or a couple other breweries as well. All you could eat, all you could drink, all the best places, best food and drink in the area of South Florida. You could try it here at the Great Chef's Tailgate. Theo Dorsey of Theoretically Speaking, which you could hear 2 to 4 weekdays on these various stations, will be emceeing the event. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of food. And, nothing has really been prepared in terms of what I can see. We're sitting here in the ballroom at the Innovation Campus right now. But once that food really starts to get brewing and, the aroma enters the air, I'm going to get goosebumps.
I have a hound dog's nose, and
you sure do.
It's not in the air yet.
I'll
let you know.
But we'll be here till 6, of course. You got us on Russo and Rizzo. We're going to talk to Mike Tannenbaum, ex-GM of the New York Jets and ex-executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins. We'll be talking to him around 4:40, 4:45. We'll get our pal C-Cat's thoughts a little later in the show. But in the meantime, we heard now another thing in the NFL. Russell Wilson is back and healthy. Sort of been an afterthought after the Steelers have started 4-2 with some moderate success with Justin Fields. But it seems that Mike Tomlin is going to be giving Russell Wilson, after a calf injury, first-team reps in practice. What that means, what that entails, we'll get into next. You're listening to Russo and Rizzo live here at ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, it's your boy JC. Nick Sirianni taunting the fans in Philly, but it gets even worse. We have new video on today's Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. See it now on YouTube at Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. And subscribe. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, exclusively on YouTube.
ESPN 106.3 is your home for Miami Dolphins football.
Miami Dolphins 70 and the Broncos 20.
Every Miami Dolphins game all season long.
The most explosive offense since the greatest show on turf.
Right here on ESPN 106.3.
FX's Grotesquerie.
This killer is someone who knows anatomy.
From executive producer Ryan Murphy.
Detective, you have an entire family murdered.
Niecy Nash Betts.
The monster is out here.
Courtney B. Vance.
God knows what darkness we let in.
And Travis Kelce.
There's no future after this.
FX's Grotesquerie. All new Wednesdays on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Lowe's knows that to win the job, pros need the best prices. That's why only at Lowe's, MVP's Pro Rewards members can get a volume discount on eligible orders as low as $1,500 at the Pro Desk. That means you get the prices you need to start any job, small or large. Because Lowe's knows pros. Valid in-store only. More terms and restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms or Pro Desk for details.
Hi, it's Evan Cohen. When you absolutely have to hear the game, it's always on ESPN 106.3. Tonight, it's ALCS Game 2, Guardians and the Yankees. Pre-game starts at 7. So get off the sidelines and keep your head in the game with ESPN 106.3.
It's a Twin Peaks Tuesday. Twin Peaks, the ultimate sports lodge for eats, drinks, and scenic views. This is ESPN 106.3.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Rolling on here at the Brick Innovation Campus for the Great Chef's Tailgate for the Boca Raton Bowl. Boca Raton Innovation Campus. Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, of course, Christian Cat behind the glass all the way back at the studios in downtown West Palm Beach. We're live on site. Going to be over 20 restaurants that are going to be setting up shop here and handing out samplings and the whole bit. You can go get your tickets still at spiritofgivingnetwork.org/events, or you can come and get them at the door if you'd like. But it's going to be a heck of an event starting at 6:30 right here at the Brick Innovation Campus in Boca Raton.
Boca Raton Innovation Campus.
You see, Colin, I was doing it in your ear and not in the air, but I got to do it in both now.
It's okay.
You see,
it's all right.
Rizzo pointed out astutely at the beginning of the show that Boca Raton Innovation Campus.
It's funny because there's a big projection screen with Boca Raton Innovation Campus written in big letters right in front of me.
Saying Brick Innovation Campus, you're saying Boca Raton Innovation Campus. Innovation Campus.
C-Cat, you're going to have to deal with this. So we're here for That's our wonderful producer, Christian Cat, who will not be able to enjoy the event tonight. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to telling him how great the food is here and how much fun I'm having while he's sitting there back at the studios. But nonetheless, it's Russo and Rizzo. Mike Tomlin spoke to the media today and alluded to the fact that Russell Wilson, veteran quarterback who has been out for the past couple of weeks with a calf injury, took last week of practice to knock off the rust, quote-unquote. And it's basically in consideration that he might be the starter this coming week against the New York Jets. The Steelers, sitting at 4-2, have seen success, whether you want to admit it or not, with Justin Fields as the interim quarterback. But all of a sudden, now Mike Tomlin is throwing the ball back in the ring here, and both names are back in the hat. And at this point, it's fun. It's one thing to do this in training camp. It is another thing to do this when you're 4-2, 6 weeks into the year. What's your reaction to what Tomlin's doing? Is this just another Mike Tomlin screwing with the media type of persona here, or is he really doing a quarterback competition mid-year like this?
I don't think he's going to do that. And this isn't my biggest take on this isn't a Mike Tomlin thing. You know what I mean? You're 4-2. The division is still wide open. I understand the Ravens are playing better. The Bengals are a mess. The Browns are a mess. Why change what's working? And I'm not necessarily a believer in the Steeler offense and Justin Fields, but I think Justin Fields is better than Russell Wilson. Let's not get this twisted, okay? I understand that Justin turned the ball over a lot in Chicago, and I think that was more or less the product of the situation. I think that offense was a mess under Luke Getsy and not enough weapons and whatever. While on the other hand, Russell Wilson, I mean, he's a game manager. He'll win you some games, but I think Fields, with his threat of rushing, with his threat of scrambling, and I believe it or not, I think Fields throws a better spiral and a better deep ball. This does not sound like something Mike Tomlin would actually do, pulling his starting quarterback and putting in a glue, and with all due respect, a glue factory Russell Wilson while your team is 4-2. And to add another layer to it, what happens if You throw Russell Wilson in, he struggles, you lose a couple weeks. What, you're going to pull him back out?
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, you can't do that.
That is the biggest problem.
You can't do that.
Now, I think Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl with this type of team. And he did it in Seattle, and I know it was freaking 12 years ago. But the idea is Russell Wilson has had playoff success. He's been there. He's done that. He's wildly more experienced, and he's a veteran. So I understand it from that perspective if this was 6 weeks ago. But all of a sudden, now we're in week 6, and the team has seen success. And I wouldn't say the team is seeing success exclusively because of Justin Fields. I would say he's maybe a minor part in it. But we know that that team can win with a plethora of quarterbacks under center. And I think Tomlin knows that, and I think he's playing into that. But Russell Wilson, it wasn't it was an ugly year last year. It wasn't the worst year of all time. He showed that he could still do it to some degree. I think he just butted heads with Sean Payton. If he's able to,
Well, and they wanted to get out of that contract,
and that contract was a nightmare. So I think this is a little different, but this is all from the perspective of starting the year like this. You're already rolling. The ball's already here. To your point, what are you going to do? You're going to bench Fields. I wouldn't say kill his confidence, but you're going to throw him out of rhythm, throw the offense out of rhythm, and all of a sudden, if this doesn't work, you lose 3 straight. You're sitting there at 4-5 now. You can't make another move to put Fields back in and just flip-flop the starting quarterbacks all year long. You can't do it. You're going to have to stick with one.
Two things. You mentioned Wilson and the playoff success. And yes, he has had success, but we were far away separated than that. Agreed.
Sure.
We were far away from Wilson.
But it was a great defense, and you knows how to utilize a roster. That's what Russell Wilson is good at. That Bronco roster was not great.
I'll agree with that.
Wilson knows how to utilize a roster, and he doesn't play hero ball. And Fields has a problem sometimes with trying to play some hero ball.
I could argue, and then the number 2 I was going to say is I mentioned Fields and his struggles in Chicago, turning the ball over, lost fumbles and interceptions. He hasn't really turned the ball over this year.
No,
he has 1 interception on the passing end. I know he's got a couple of fumbles, but the 1 interception, 5 touchdowns, like you live with that. You'll live with that. I think Fields will bring more to the table than as I said, glue factory Russell Wilson. So I
don't think this is a ceiling thing.
I think Tomlin, to your point, is blowing smoke to the media. I think this is him kind of screwing with whoever he's playing. I forget who the Steelers' opponent is this week.
I
think this is head games.
He's saying he's going to get first-team reps. That's the problem.
This is all head games.
But the media will be at practice.
Oh, of course.
So they're going to see it. Of course. So he's not just doing it for head games.
What I'm saying is just because Russell Wilson is getting first-team reps doesn't mean he's going to start the game. Justin has been getting first-team reps since 2 weeks left in training camp.
Hold on.
When Wilson
that doesn't make any
injured.
sense. That's a stupid game to play. If you're not going to, I believe at the very least there was some consideration for Russell Wilson to be the starting quarterback, because why would you give him first-team reps, damage that out of Fields, who is still learning a relatively new offense for him, just so you could blow smoke to the media? That doesn't make any sense. If you're going to do this, either Wilson's going to be the backup and you're just going to stick with that. But I understand if you were to say that and nobody would see it, but people are going to see this.
I think the reps and whatever. I think all that stuff's a little overrated, personally.
You can't say that because
I think all that
the
stuff
offenses didn't figure this out until 2 weeks ago. That's
I
all
think
because of the reps in practice.
They're both going to be getting reps in practice against whatever scout team defense that the Jets are going to be playing coming up this Sunday night. I think this is to get Russ into rhythm, to get him possibly ready.
Well, let's think
to
about
come
it.
I think
the biggest problem with the offense is we talked about these teams don't practice enough. Now practice is overrated to you? That was the whole reason that the offense has stunk through 4 weeks, is these teams did not practice enough. And now it doesn't matter. These guys can show up on Sundays.
It's not that it doesn't matter. It's just Justin's in a swing of things. I think he's in a swing of things in practice. I know he's a relatively new quarterback in Pittsburgh, but he has a general understanding of what's going on. It's just because they're going to be splitting or whatever the hell the report was, first-team reps and this and that, they're going to be facing whatever scout team defense is that they're going to be running for the Jets. I don't know. I don't think – long story short for me, Colin, I don't think there's a chance in hell Russell Wilson is starting. I think this is all smoke, and you can't bench a guy that's 4-2. He could say one thing to the media. I'm just not buying it.
I agree.
Maybe I'm just flat out wrong, part of it, but I ain't buying this.
I agree with the philosophy of you can't bench somebody who's 4-2. That I agree with. But I think the idea that this means nothing, I don't agree with that either. I think
but I also think, Colin, we've been hearing that Wilson is close. He's coming back. He's going to be good. I feel like we've been hearing this garbage for a long time now.
So now we've done a couple of the fact that he hasn't been hurt, but they just wanted to bench him?
I'm not alluding to the fact that he wasn't hurt. I'm just alluding to just because he's almost on his way back and getting reps. I'm not buying into this situation at all. I'm not buying into Tomlin. Oh, he's going to be getting first-team reps, and he might be in line to start against the Jets. I think it's ludicrous.
Well, the one thing that was for sure was everybody was under the impression that Wilson was going to be that starter in the offseason. Of course, you can't. You can only hypothesize to a certain degree, but Wilson really got hurt before there was a chance to make an official decision.
I'm not saying that this is, he was never hurt. They just don't want him to play. I'm not saying that. I think Wilson was hurt, but your the best thing you could offer to someone or a franchise or a job is availability. And he wasn't available, and the team's 4-2 now. You can't screw up what you started just because, Russell, let's stop everything that we've been doing. Russell Wilson's healthy. Now we got to throw him in there.
I agree. It's dangerous. But the one thing I will say that I understand from the Wilson perspective, but my perspective here, if I was a head coach, this is what I was thinking of before the year. Now it's a little different. Now it's a tricky spot, and it's hard to go back and forth. You can't flip-flop. But in terms of ceiling, I think Russell Wilson probably gives you that higher ceiling. Fields is good. Fields offers you a lot with his legs. But if Fields doesn't offer you a lot with his arm, he never has and he never will. That's just not the quarterback that Justin Fields is. Wilson, on the other hand, is experienced. He has a little bit more with his arm. He's not the rushing threat, so I understand that facet. But I'm not going to sit here and say that the Steelers' offense was fantastic the last couple weeks because of Justin Fields. I think this is a team that is a well-rounded roster, especially defensively. And in terms of situational coaching, has been top of the line for years now in terms of getting the most out of everything else and not the quarterback. So I think in terms of a ceiling, I understand the perspective that Russell Wilson might give you that next step. But I think it's a risky move. It's extremely risky right now, 4-2, with the Ravens creeping up now. But you get the Browns and the Steelers, who haven't been doing that too well. The AFC has been really chalked and barred so far this year. But from that perspective, I understand the ceiling aspect of it.
I just think you ride this out. Say Fields loses 2 games, 3 games in a row. You go to 4-5. You go to 4-4. Then pull the plug. Then play Russ.
I don't understand that.
Let Fields play himself out of the position. I think he's deserved a start at the quarterback position, even with the healthy Russell Wilson being with the record of 4-2. I personally don't think Wilson gives you a better chance to win. I think Fields gives you the better chance to win.
Well, I mean, Wilson's a year removed from 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and winning 8 games. So, and that's with the team that wasn't that good and a head coach he was butting heads with a terrible contract, and it was just a whole nightmare to deal with. This is a better coach team. This is a wildly experienced.
Sean Payton's a good coach, though.
He is, and I just don't think he butted heads with Russell Wilson. I don't think that the Sean Payton, dictatorship that he likes to run, I don't think that just really flew.
To your point, I think he got a bad taste in his mouth when he showed up to Denver and saw Russell Wilson's personal office, parking spots.
You're talking about Fields playing himself out. Fields has played 6 games this year. He has thrown over 200 yards twice. He has thrown over 300 yards once, and he has been under 150 yards 3 times passing. So I understand the legs aspect to it, but you're thinking about playing himself out. What is that point? Them losing games?
I think so.
They've showed that they could win games without the quarterback. So I think if there's anything there, I would say that Tomlin is trying to put the team in a position to win with the quarterback when they needs to, and that they don't want to live with the 9 and 8s of the world that they've dealt with.
You think they'd be better with Wilson?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree with the philosophy 100% that this is the bad move. But ultimately, if this was 6 weeks ago and I had to make the decision for a year-long basis, I think Wilson 100% would be the better option at quarterback comparatively to Fields, because the experience. They're trying to win playoff games. They're not trying to get to the postseason. They've been getting to the postseason. They are trying to win postseason games. They have the defense for it. Win a postseason game. Wilson has done that. And that is the one perspective that I have that Fields doesn't necessarily have. How is Fields going to fare in a playoff game when they start locking down that run game? Is he going to beat you with his arm? You're going to need a quarterback. Every team in the league needs one. They need a quarterback that is going to beat them with your arm. And
you think that's Wilson? I don't think it's.
Hold on. But comparatively to what? Is Fields going to do that? I just gave you the stats. He hasn't thrown for 150. He's not going to do it with his arm. That is just not the quarterback that he is. And all of a sudden, when everything tightens up and you're in a tight wild card matchup game on the road, all of a sudden you're going to need him to go down the field with 3 minutes to go. I'd rather have Wilson. I think that's a no-brainer.
I think Wilson dinks and dunks, and I know Fields does as well. All right, I know Fields does as well, but I think with Russ at this point in his career, he's going to hit the check down and he's going to try to dink and dunk himself down the field. At least Fields, and to your point, you said what happens when they shut down the run, Riz. I think this point with Fields, the threat with his legs is more, I think, enticing to the Steelers than anything Russell Wilson has.
But you're talking about Fields as a runner versus a passing.
I rather take the threat that Fields has with his legs and his ability to improvise than what Wilson has at this point.
Now,
I'm not a Russ. I thought Russell Wilson was done 3 years ago. So that's where I'm at on this spectrum. I laughed as a Brown fan. Laughed to kingdom come when they got Russell Wilson. I was
26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions,
that they would start Russell Wilson.
A quiet 8 games last year. I agree he's a little out of his prime, but in terms of rather having Justin Fields running the ball, when has that ever worked? Lamar is maybe an outlier, and Lamar can't win playoff games. So that is not a foundation. That is not a recipe for success at the NFL level. What is the recipe for success? You need somebody who could win the game in the fourth quarter, win the game with their arm, has a little bit of a clutch factor. Russell Wilson has had a lot of clutch victories in his career.
5 years ago.
Sure.
5 years ago.
But he's been there. That's fine. If Fields has never been there. And that to me, I think that is what Tomlin is probably looking for. I'm just trying to get into his head here. This is not me making.
No, I understand. So let's go to the point of Fields hasn't been there. If you're the Steelers, don't you want to find out if he's a possible franchise quarterback? Isn't that why you got him in the first place? You got him on a discount. Let him play out. Let him get into these tough situations, see what he's made of, and then make a decision at the end of the year. You already know what you have with Russell Wilson.
That's true, but you don't have games to use in his experiment. They've seen them in practice. We don't really know how it's been in practice. Both quarterbacks did not play great in the preseason. We both know that. So if they're sitting there in practice and thinking, okay, Justin Fields is not really getting it done with his arm, and he hasn't really been up to par, up to speed with what we want to see out of a passing perspective, now they see that. They're not going to use games as an experiment when they're 4-2. I think they're going to do this because we think ceiling-wise, this is probably our best perspective. I don't know. That's my perspective on it. We're going to talk to Mike Tannenbaum next segment. We're going to get his thoughts on it. Somebody who's from a GM perspective, somebody who has had experience in NFL front offices. I'm curious to see what he thinks on top of the Davante Adams trade to the New York Jets and, of course, the Amari Cooper trade from the Browns to the Bills. That was Mike Rizzo. Colin Russo here, 888-760-3776. The phone lines are open as well. Is Mike Tomlin blowing smoke and mirrors here, or is he really leaning one side or the other in terms of who he's going to start at quarterback, Russell Wilson versus Justin Fields? Mike is more on the side that Fields gives him the best position to win. I understand both sides, but I am more leaning that in terms of a ceiling, I think Russell Wilson probably provides you that higher ceiling. What do you think? Let us know, 888-760-3776, out here at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, the Brick. How's that? At the Great Chef's Tailgate. It's going to get started here at 6:30. Go get your tickets at spiritofgivingnetwork.org/events. Should be a great time for the Boca Raton Bowl. Mike Rizzo will be here, post-game immediately after for an hour?
Yep. So it's going to be Boca Bowl Weekly. It's our weekly Boca Raton Bowl show, Boca Bowl Weekly. We're going to have 3 guests on. We're going to have a lot of fun, 6 to 7, folks. So stand by 6 to 7. I will be live with Boca Bowl Weekly.
That was Mike Rizzo. Colin Russo here after this quick break. We're going to be speaking with Mike Tannenbaum, former Executive Vice President of Football Operations for the Miami Dolphins and former General Manager for the New York Jets. I want to get his thoughts on the Davante Adams move, on the Amari Cooper move, and more importantly, what Mike Tomlin is telling the media here. I'm very curious in seeing what his perspective is. We'll get into that more, but the phone lines are open, 888-760-3776. Give us your thoughts on that Mike Tomlin thought to the media on whether Russell Wilson or Justin Fields gives them the best position to win. It's Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3. Don't go away.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hi, it's Evan Cohen. When you absolutely have to hear the game, it's always on ESPN 106.3. Tonight, it's ALCS Game 2. Guardians and the Yankees. Pre-game starts at 7. So get off the sidelines and keep your head in the game with ESPN 106.3.
When you're hiring for your business, ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. This made us wonder, what if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic.
K equals 42.
Escape rooms? Elementary. And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Simple. So, see what the world is like when ZipRecruiter does the hard work of hiring for you. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Down the sideline he goes. ESPN 106.3 is your home for Miami Dolphins football. Every Miami Dolphins game right here, all season long on ESPN 106.3.
VIP experiences await at South Florida's only PGA Tour event. The Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches is upping the golf game February 27th through March 2nd with new luxury hospitality venues. Host colleagues and clients at the Shoreline Suites. Mingle with friends and family in the 1909 Terrace. Or treat yourself to the ultimate VIP week at the Yellow Flamingo Club. Limited spots remain. Inquire now at thecognizantclassic.com.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen for the accident attorneys, Anajar and Levine. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Did you get injured on the job? Workers' comp problems? My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine, they will fight for you. Remember, they do not get paid unless you get paid, and they will fight to get you the maximum compensation you know you deserve. Here's what you do. You just call. Call Anajar and Levine for your absolutely free consultation. Do not settle for just any attorneys. Demand Anajar and Levine, and demand the Anajar and Levine difference. It takes just one phone call to begin to take back control of your life. So do that. Take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Anajar and Levine, accident attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Lease the new 2024 Range Rover Evoque 250S today at Land Rover Palm Beach for only $499 per month with a 42-month lease and only $47.50 down, plus fees and first month's payment. Head over to Land Rover Palm Beach today, located on Okeechobee Boulevard just past the Turnpike, or visit LandRoverPalmBeach.com to set up a test drive of the new 2024 Range Rover Evoque 250S. Land Rover Palm Beach, above and beyond.
Does your business leave a lasting impression? Attractive, eye-catching signs help you stand out from the crowd and create a strong brand identity. Our team at Signorama West Palm are experts in helping your business get noticed and get effective signage in front of your potential customers. Our team can turn your blank windows or plain vehicles into money-making branding machines by drawing customers' attention to your business. So if you're looking to leave that lasting impression, call us 561-687-7993 or visit SignoramawPB.com.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers.
Sports fans, it's the best time of the year. It's fall when everything is happening. Football's back. Fighting gets real. Baseball playoffs. Get ahead of the action. Plan your time now to be at Twin Peaks, the ultimate guys lodge, the ultimate sports lodge. Never ever recover to watch any fights, any MMA, UFC, or boxing pay-per-views. Always watch for free. Of course, the eats, the drinks, the signature scenic views, and of course, Twin Peaks 29-degree ice-cold beer made from scratch favorites like their burgers, wings, mozzarella bites, and so much more. Happy hour weekdays. Take advantage of $5 man-sized drafts. And remember, never ever pay a cover to watch any of the fights. Your official UFC fight headquarters is your official football headquarters all week long, all season long. Eats, drinks, scenic views, 29-degree beers. Twin Peaks, the ultimate guys lodge for everything sports.
I'm Wendy Sartori-Link, your Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. Election Day is November 5th. Voting by mail is easy and secure. Request online at votepalmbeach.gov or call us at 561-656-6208. Return your ballot with prepaid postage or drop it off at one of our secure locations during designated hours. Our online ballot tracker allows you to get live updates on the status of your ballot, and the deadline to request is Thursday, October 24th. No matter how you vote this November, we're here to make it count. Sponsored by the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections Office.
Hey, Shot, I know you be hearing this and that from here and there, but please trust and believe, little mama. I see you gon' ride for me, so I'ma die for you. Is you with me?
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Rolling on here, it's Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo. Christian Cat, of course, back at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. We are at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus for the Great Chef's Tailgate, the Boca Raton Bowl's Great Chef's Tailgate, Theodore will be here emceeing the event. Starts at 6:30. You can still get tickets. spiritofgivingnetwork.org/events. The food aroma starting to enter the room a little bit. People are starting to set up. About 20-plus restaurants going to be handing out food, a couple breweries here, so food and drink for everybody. Very excited to get involved with that. It's Russo and Rizzo presented by our pals over at Hard Rock Bet. Well, now you've seen the first few weeks of the season play out. Time to try your first bet on Hard Rock Bet. Maybe you're like Miami, things haven't really worked out, but you could go be a winner at Hard Rock Bet. Last year, you couldn't legally bet in Florida until Week 14. Now, entering Week 7, get involved, get started today. There's so much to do. It's the only legal sports book in Florida. Each game, you can bet on the touchdown scores, the passing yards, other stats, total points, who will win, so much more. You can bet on college football, huge weekend this weekend with Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, Texas. You can bet on the MLB playoffs, which are Game 2 of the Guardians-Yankees. We'll get into that a little later in the show. That's tonight as well. If you want to bet a ton of money, try a parlay, string a bunch of bets together. In Week 1, a Florida bettor went 16 for 16, taking all of the NFL picks, turned $15 into over $100,000. You could do the same. Go try Hard Rock Bet today. The Discover page has got all the trendy picks, where the money is, where the promos are. They got a ton of promos. You can get involved there. It's so easy. It's got the sophistication for the experienced player, but it also has the simplicity that the new player sort of needs to get involved in a sports book like Hard Rock. Get started today. All you got to do is download Hard Rock Bet on the App Store or Google Play Store, or go online to hardrock.bet. Try it today and get up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. This can be a parlay, prop, the over, whatever you like. You either win your first bet, you get the same amount back bet as a bonus bet. Go try it today. Hard Rock Bet. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Well, we spoke about Mike Tomlin and what he said about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields a little earlier. We spoke about Davante Adams now officially going to the Jets, Amari Cooper going to the Bills. We like to get that was just Mike and I's. We're a bunch of losers. But now let's get the real experience in here. We'd like to welcome in Mike Tannenbaum, former GM of the New York Jets, former executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins, current ESPN NFL insider. Mr. T, how you doing today?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
So we'll start with an elephant in the room. Of course, Davante Adams. We want to start there because the Jets are fresh on everybody's mind. They played last night, played harder than I expected, and they actually kept in the game a little bit. But, it sounds like, the team didn't even get to the locker room before they made that trade. Davante Adams officially in New York now. To me, this sounds like I didn't watch that game last night and think the Jets really need a receiver. I think this is more of just satisfying Aaron Rodgers' needs and offensive production there, and maybe just a little shot in the arm. What's your perspective? What's the takeaway now that Davante Adams is officially a New York Jet?
I like it, guys. I don't love it. To trade, a third, potentially second-round pick for 11 games for a 30-year-old plus receiver. I like to see, Malachi Corley get going or Mike Williams get going. I think Davante Adams obviously is a good receiver, but I think what's really at the crux of the Jets' issues is right now stopping the run. We saw on opening day, no Christian McCaffrey, and Jordan Mason runs up and down the field. And then, last night, no James Cook, and, great job by Ray Davis.
Mike, was this a move to appease Aaron Rodgers?
Gosh, Mike, I certainly hope not. If you run your team that way, that's just a tall order, guys. Like, it's hard enough to win. Look, he's a good player. I'm sure Aaron's happier, but, at the end of the day, we got to go play better.
Right.
I know people thought that game was close last night. I kind of saw it differently. They needed a Hail Mary just to stay into this. And you look at no Ed Oliver, no Matt Milano, no Von Miller, no James Cook. That was a beat-up Buffalo Bill team on the road, and you want to win the division? I think they got bigger issues than worrying about how Aaron Rodgers is feeling.
Well, speaking of those bigger issues, of course, they got rid of Robert Saleh, and it seems like the Jets are in the headline every week in between games. Of course, they made the move for Davante Adams. They got rid of Nathaniel Hackett's play calling duties, and of course, Robert Saleh out. Is this team almost too far gone? It's so much too much turnover, too much change for one season that a team that's already dysfunctional can handle. Are you out on what you're seeing with the New York Jets? I personally am. What's your takeaway?
Well, 7 teams make the playoffs, right? So we got a long, long way to go. But look, if the three of us were watching a game on Sunday night, how many times do you think Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin are going to call a run? It just, until they stop the run, nothing else really matters. Now, if you can fix that, and a little concerned because Quincy Williams is small, Jamie Sherwood's small, they should, be able to score points, with Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. But to get to where they want to go, they're going to have to, at some point, play much better defense.
Mike, I was a bit heartbroken to see Amari Cooper leave the Browns today, but what was your reaction to Cooper leaving Cleveland and getting traded to Buffalo today?
He may be the first of many.
Wow.
Likewise, he doesn't have a contract after, this year, guys. And look, if you're Cleveland, you're selling, right? Not sure it ends with him. Does Darius Smith go to Detroit, for example? Until they figure out what to do with Deshaun Watson and his $92 million additional guarantees, hard to see them winning. So, probably not going to re-sign Amari Cooper, get a third-round pick for him. That makes good sense.
Mike, last thing on the Brownies from me. Who do you think would make sense for them to move on from? Would it be someone, I've been hearing rumblings, possibly Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, kind of cornerstone players. Any guesses who could possibly be on the move from Cleveland if they are going to sell more?
Yeah, I think, would you take 2-1 for Myles Garrett from Detroit? Those are the conversations. Yeah, I know it's painful, but until you get
Mike.
a quarterback, Myles Garrett could be Deacon Jones. It's not going to matter.
Right. Good shout.
It's stunning to watch a player like Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's so skill diminished that it's at some point, guys, being in a building every day, the players are going to look at the head coach and say, how can you have him out there? You're holding me accountable. How come you're not holding him accountable? We all know it's because of the contract, but at some point you're going to have a whole bunch of really disappointed players.
ESPN NFL insider Mike Tannenbaum joining the program now on Russo and Rizzo live here in ESPN 106.3. Mike, from a front office, you have the front office experience. You've been in the rooms like that. How would you handle something like Nick Sirianni yelling at the fans, making kind of a fool out of himself during that Eagle game on Sunday? He's been somebody that's sort of been polarizing in terms of the production outside of it, but he's also, as a personality, trying to do a little too much. As a GM, how does a GM handle something like that when the head coach is in the headlines all year long, essentially, for all the wrong reasons? What's your takeaway on what Sirianni did, and how would you handle that in that position?
I would call him into my office and say, hey, Nick, when you're not in a room and people are talking about Nick Sirianni, what are the 2 to 3 words that you want associated with your name? And invariably, when you ask somebody that question, they're going to say, smart, hardworking, classy, whatever it may be. And just say, if that's your standards and that's what you want to be known for, how does yelling at the fans reconcile with the standards that you're setting for yourself? And that's just unacceptable, and it's not really what you want to be known for.
Mike, you buying into this stuff that's going on with Russell Wilson? I personally, I do not see them benching Justin Fields after being 4-2.
I've been thinking about that. Here's the thing, though. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I know that 4 or 5, plays a game are the most consequential and difference-making. Could Russell Wilson and what he's done with the deep ball, could he possibly, give us a shot in the arm? Meaning, hey, hit that home run, hit the deep shot. Now, question is who's going to catch it outside of George Pickens, but that is really the only thing that I thought about is what's the one thing Russell Wilson can do more consistently, than Justin Fields?
Yeah, I agree with you on that front. I think in terms of a ceiling, I think Wilson probably offers a little bit more. You got to assume that the Steelers, they've done it with, Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett and company. You got to assume that they can make the postseason at the very least in a pretty weakened AFC in terms of everybody's battered and beaten a little bit. I think Russell Wilson probably offers that type of ceiling. But in terms of 6 weeks into the year, 4-2, I agree with the side that Wilson probably gives you a little bit more. But almost, do you screw with something? If it ain't broke, do you fix it in this sense? How do the NFL teams really view this type of thing?
Well, again, you're 4-2, so it's not perfect. And it's saying, like, how can we improve? You know, we saw two teams today say, how can we improve? Let's go get a receiver outside the building. And, you know, Russell Wilson, again, may just give you something that you don't have. And, again, if I'm in the AFC, I know I got to score points to, you know, keep up with Kansas City, Baltimore, certainly Houston. And if I have to be a point scorer, I do have a better shot at that with, you know, Russell Wilson and not, you know, C.J. Stroud. Not Stroud, but, you know, Justin Fields.
Yep. Mike, Jerry Jones has been on radio shows going at it with hosts. The Cowboys losing in tremendous fashion to the Lions on Sunday. What's your take on that Cowboy team right now?
Yeah, steal line from Mike Greenberg of Greeny. You know, they got more expensive. They didn't get better. And you look at a guy like Derrick Henry, and my gosh, he can, you know, you got a bad defense, you got injuries on defense, go get Derrick Henry and play keep away. And, you know, it's funny to see a guy like Jerry Jones, who's so comfortable in the public eye, bristle at criticism.
Right.
But right now, they are not an elite team. Now, you get DeMarcus Lawrence, Eric Kendricks, Mike Parsons, Deron Bland back. They're going to look better on defense, but, you know, the question is it going to be too little too late?
Mike, are these signings fool's gold, in your opinion, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb?
I don't think so. I think, look, if three of us were running a team and we said we could have these, you know, players that are high character and productive, I'd be hard-pressed to say we don't want to sign them now. Maybe we should have signed them sooner and saved some money. But I think those are players that you want to have on your team.
Mike, from what we've heard, I didn't get to hear the spot today. You joined Theo Dorsey of Theoretically Speaking maybe a couple hours ago. And, you know, from what I've heard through the grapevine is that you're, you know, dipping into the swear jar a little bit. Mike, what's going on there? Do you remember saying this, or is this another situation in which we claimed it did not happen, and all of a sudden now you got another $1 in the swear jar? What's going on there?
No, I'm just going to plead guilty, Your Honor, and just tell you what the fine is. And I'm hoping, you know, by pleading that, you know, throwing myself to the mercy of the court. You know, those guys get me going. And, you know, I'm doing so many of these radio hits. Next thing I know, like, you know, I'm paying fines left and right.
Now, Mike, you swore with us before too. So I honestly, after hearing what you said, I take that as a compliment. That means you like coming on with us, right?
Yeah, although that doesn't bode well for me, Mike. That means I'm a repeat offender.
Yeah, Mike, once is a fluke, two is a pattern, my friend.
God.
We're going to have to keep an eye on you, keep our finger over the dump button whenever you're joining us. But one thing I wanted to ask you as well, in terms of over-officiating. We saw it last night. I swear there's a flag every play. And I think the referees, the hip drop tackle was one thing, and the new kickoff rules. Ultimately, I think these NFL games have stagnated in terms of the quality because, in a lot of ways, of the offenses. We talked about that in the past, but a lot of it, too, with the officiating. Do you think the NFL, in any sense, has been over-officiated? Do you think that the product is suffering because of this? What's your take on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, totally fair. You know, we all saw the same thing last night. Well, here's what I'd say. You just don't want it to impact the outcome of the game relative to, was it called, you know, the same for both sides. And you know, it certainly seemed that way because both teams had so many penalties. But, you know, we don't want to see the OPIs or the one on Epidemia, like, to me in particular, you know, like he tackled Aaron Rodgers in what looked to me like a very natural football play. And, you know, you can't legislate that out. Look, we're all about player health and safety. You want to see the quarterbacks. But I agree, there's a fine line there, and the league has to be careful.
Mike, I personally want to invite you to the Boca Raton Innovation Campus here, a.k.a. Brick, because Colin and I are about to put on a display eating food tonight.
Yeah,
now,
it's a great chef's tailgate today, Mike.
Yeah, partner, you got to come and eat some good food with us.
All right, I'll take you up on that. Maybe a rain check for today, but let's do that sometime.
See, hey, you know, it's all right. You can swear all you want with us when you're here at Brick, you know?
You know, Mike, with your TV training, you'd think that, you know, seeing you on Get Up every morning, maybe this is your time to let loose and kind of give the real thoughts out, not the TV stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to be so sterile, right?
Appreciate it as always,
Thanks,
Mr. Tannenbaum. Enjoy the rest of the day. We'll talk next week.
Right. Thanks.
That was Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL insider, former GM of the New York Jets, former executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins, joining us on Russo and Rizzo there. You know what's interesting
He agreed with you on Wilson, by the way, which was a little surprising.
I think it's a matter of I think he's thinking long term.
Right.
And I just think, the Steelers know how to make the playoffs regardless of who's at quarterback. They've done this before. It hasn't been good. Like, you haven't loved the Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett here or there. You don't like this switching around at quarterback, but they've done it before. And I think off of that alone, they're probably fairly comfortable. But Mike, what's interesting is for somebody switching gears for a minute, switching gears, you'd think we were talking about some trivia. But theoretically speaking, he's going to be doing some trivia with NASCAR and the movie Cars, but what do they really earn stakes to win?
Yeah, folks, so first off, vroom, vroom. Colin talks about changing gears. Vroom, vroom, guys. Get ready for the ultimate NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway, the Craftsman Truck Series playoffs and NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. It's a doubleheader of races you're not going to want to miss. Theoretically speaking, and Theo Dorsey are going to have tickets for you guys. They're going to have some fun games for you, as Colin mentioned. So make sure you're listening to Theoretically Speaking, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. with our good buddy Theo for a chance to win some great prizes and tickets for the ultimate NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway, the Craftsman Truck Series playoffs and NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs, the doubleheader of races you're not going to want to miss. Listen to Theoretically Speaking for your chance to get some tickets. Now, Colin, I do got to say, do you know how to drive stick shift?
No.
Really?
Never learned.
So can I?
Sure.
You make fun of me all the time for flexing on the show, but I actually passed my driver's test in the stick shift.
You could take – is that a thing? I thought they always do automatic for it.
My brother it was his first year at Ohio University, and he didn't bring his car. So the car that my mom taught me how to drive with was a stick shift, and my mom's one of those old school ladies that would go, Mike, you're going to need this. If your friends, to have stick shift, you're going to need to know how to drive it. So I learned stick shift and passed it in stick shift. I thought that was a flex when I was 16 years old.
I don't believe in stick shift.
Really?
It's too much movement.
Dude, it's fun.
It's not.
Yes, it is. You've never tried. You just told me you've never tried stick shift. You can't call it
How do you
overrated.
drive long distances with that? Just changing gears?
No. So, dude, when you're on the highway, you just keep it in fourth gear. Like, you don't switch gears.
What about
until
traffic
you stop.
on the highway?
Well, traffic on the highway, it's a pain. But the good news is you can keep it in first or second gear and keep your foot on the clutch. Like, there's ways to get around. I'm telling you, dude, you'd like stick shift.
I would not like it.
Maybe no names, please, but our GM, Stephanie, said possibly maybe a car dealership in the future. Maybe I get a stick shift, and if we do get a partnership, maybe I teach you how to drive stick shift.
Would that be good in an elementary school parking lot just trying to figure it out? That's where I learned how to drive.
Steph and Brian, if you're listening, wouldn't that be fun? To teach Colin, get put on social media, have Christina, have Tina sit in the back, and have me teach Colin how to drive stick.
Your car?
Sure.
All right.
Well, Stephanie's got to, get us the car first.
Hold on.
That's the plug.
Mike, what was the impression of your mom again? That was not very flattering to Mrs. Rizzo. One more time.
Wait, what?
Your impression. You do your voice.
You kind of made it sound like she was 98
like the Wicked
years
Witch
old.
of the West.
No, God no. But listen, my mother watches and listens every day, so I'm sure I got a ton of text messages from her already. But no, C-Cat, thanks for trying to get me
get Mike in trouble
again.
Here.
Exactly.
He's chiming in.
But C-Cat, was it like, I remember my friends, and they're like, wow, you did it in a stick shift. Like, that was an ultimate flex for me when I was 16.
Yeah, I don't C-Cat, I want to get your thoughts on this. I don't believe in stick shift. I think it's a waste of time. But I understand that it's cool when people do it. I have no yearning to even begin to learn. You get an automatic car. Get an automatic car. You're wasting everybody's time. You're wasting everybody's time, including your own. I think it's a waste of time. This is not the 80s. You don't need a stick shift anymore. Automatic cars exist. It's moving away. Let's grow up. Nonetheless, that was Mike Rizzo and his stick shift. If you're a stick shift driver and you want to defend it adamantly to us, please let us know. 888-760-3776. The phone lines are open. 888-760-3776. We alluded to it before. The Cowboys are complete destruction. A bunch of NFL moves happened in terms of trades. The floodgates have officially opened. Who's next on that totem pole? Is it the Lions? Do we go down the list? Who's next to make a big move? We'll get into that and more next. Stick around. It's Russo and Rizzo live here from the Boca Raton Innovation Campus at Brick. We'll get into that and more next. Stick around. It's Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3.
Anajar and Levine. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Welcome to Homestead Miami, your home for the racing highlight. A track as vibrant and colorful as South Florida. An Xfinity and Craftsman Truck Series playoffs doubleheader on Saturday. A Cup Series playoffs showdown on Sunday. And it's all caliente.
Side by side for the race lead.
NASCAR playoffs weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway, October 26th and 27th. Get your tickets now at homesteadmiamispeedway.com.
Hell of a job, guys.
PNC Bank is committed to making a difference in the South Florida community. That's why they offer military banking products, champion veteran-owned businesses, and provide support to local organizations that empower veterans and their families with the resources they need to succeed. PNC Bank. See how they can help you at pnc.com/military. The PNC Financial Services Group, Incorporated, all rights reserved. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Festive fun is back on select nights. At Palm Beach Zoo, there's family fun. It's the best date night. Oh, Zoo Lights cheer, here at Palm Beach Zoo. Oh, what fun it is to save wildlife at the zoo. Hey!
Zoo Lights, presented by Florida Power and Light Company and Discover the Palm Beaches, Florida. Get your tickets today at pbzoo.org/zoolights.
ESPN 106.3 is presented by Rubenstein Law. 1-800-FL-LEGAL. Car accident, truck accident, Uber or Lyft accident, or a slip and fall. Call Rubenstein Law. Call 1-800-FL-LEGAL and visit one of our offices throughout Florida.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Is your credit on life support? Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. Local bank representatives will be on site to grant special approval to consumers who meet certain minimum criteria. If you have a job bringing home $350 weekly, the credit clinic at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach wants to approve you so you can drive home your new Kia today. Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. Hello, is this thing on? I repeat, Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. If you have a job bringing home $350 weekly, the credit clinic wants to approve you for a new Kia today. So what are you waiting for? Don't miss the credit clinic today and tomorrow at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach. Call 800-NEW-KIAs or go online at greenwaykiawestpalmbeach.com.
We want to see ya in a Greenway Kia.
Credit affects down payment and approval term.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Call into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Second hour of Russo and Rizzo live here at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus. We're here for the Great Chef's Tailgate with the Boca Raton Bowl. Should be a good time kicking off right here at 6:30. Mike and I are here up until 6. Mike's got the Boca Raton show right after. That'll be interesting.
Turn your mic on.
Yeah.
Boca Bowl Weekly. Boca Bowl Weekly
Boca
coming
Bowl
up
Weekly.
right at 6 o'clock. Usually it's Wednesday, but with such a great event like this, we figured we'd do it live today. So
Yeah. You can hear Mike immediately after this program, but C-Cat's helping us out back at the City Place Studios in West Palm Beach. He's going to have to imagine the food that we are going to eat.
Shut up.
what did he say?
I said he's going to have to imagine the food.
And I said shut your mouth. That's what I said.
Yeah, okay.
But the food aroma's now in the air, and I swear it's getting the stomach growling.
It is, and I'm so hungry. I screwed up. I shouldn't have. Because
we haven't eaten all day.
No, correct.
I did this purposely.
So, I did
good.
too. So listen, Colin goes, Riz, dude, I'm not eating this thing after 6 o'clock. Looked at me yesterday, said, after 6, I'm not eating. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, I'll fast too. I'll fast. I'll wait. And I'm a big believer in fasting. Don't get me wrong. Huge believer in fasting. But this is
proven
long.
in a lot of senses.
This is long.
This is a full day.
I'm 23 hours away. I haven't eaten
This is a full
anything
day.
in 23 hours.
This is a long, yeah.
Correct.
But
Correct.
Yeah, fasting is like a 12 to 18
Right.
hour. It's like an 18-hour
Exactly.
thing. Right?
We've doubled up now. I've had a ton of coffee and water today, but I've not had substance.
Coffee's
I've not
good
had
for
substance.
suppressing
Love
appetite.
coffee,
It's
dude.
good for suppressing appetite.
But you don't believe in coffee.
I don't believe in
that.
coffee.
I
don't believe in caffeine.
That isn't like if I didn't have coffee, I wouldn't be able to run this body of
Can
mine.
you get it? Can you get it? Is the first thing you do, or are you one of those guys you wake up in the morning
Dude,
for
of
immediately
course.
coffee?
Of course.
So you have a coffee machine.
Yes. And
That's a must-have.
It's a must-have. It's not even. It's a non-negotiable. Does that make sense? A non-negotiable. I have my Starbucks blend. I have my Dunkin' Donuts blend. I got a Keurig too.
What is the difference with the Keurig? Isn't that a coffee machine?
The Keurig is pods. You see, you ever seen like someone put a pod in and slam it down?
So you have like coffee ground.
I have a backup though. And
you
I
have
even
two coffee machines.
Correct.
That's okay. This is stupid.
I know. I'm a maniac.
Why do you have two coffee machines?
Because I'm a maniac and I love coffee.
So why? No, but do you use both?
I only use the Keurig when I'm out of my regular coffee, but I'm usually never out of my regular coffee. And also, like
Keurig is a backup.
Yes, but you got to realize, Colin. Like I can't believe you're a Siciliano as well, and you don't do the coffee. Like growing up, you'd have the Keurig, you'd have the espresso machine, you'd have this. So like I've been around coffee like my whole life, and it's just natural to have more than one way of making coffee.
Yeah, growing up,
does your dad drink coffee? Does your mom?
He drinks coffee. He doesn't. He's not a religious drinker of coffee.
Okay.
And my mom's a tea drinker. So
I
like
see,
that, and my older brother and my siblings, I don't think are
They're
big
not coffee
drinkers. I just think I just didn't grow up around it. I also don't believe in it. Why
don't you believe in it?
It's fabricated energy. How's that?
Okay, no, you're totally right.
It's PEDs of energy.
But I want to explain something to everybody as well.
But then you get relied on it. You spend a lot of money on it.
I don't spend a lot of money on it because
you have the coffee machine.
But I also drink black coffee. Like I don't put sugar. Like with all due respect, C-Cat, I'm going to call you out here. I'm sorry,
going price for sugar,
C-Cat,
these days. What are you, a merchant?
Yeah.
It's sugar. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
Hang on, time out. C-Cat drinks a candy cane every morning. All right. I don't believe in sugar. Do I like sugar? Now you say you don't believe in.
You don't believe in sugar.
I don't believe in
sugar.
sugar.
You eat sugar.
I do, but
you can't not believe it.
I don't believe in sugar.
No, you can't. That's against the rules.
Why? Why is it against the rules?
You can't believe in something and you can't be involved with it. You can't just love it.
But outside of stealing the high chew bar that Casey Korth and J Mart had, by the way, these are workers for us at ESPN West Palm. Outside of stealing one of those every now and then, I really don't eat sugar, though. Honest to God, I'm very good with not eating sugar. And I don't want the first thing I do in the morning is to put poisonous sugar into my body.
But
black coffee is good for you.
Let's put the is it?
Yes. Black coffee is fantastic for you.
Fantastic.
Yes.
This is not all right. You're not like drinking mangoes. Like I don't.
Black coffee, straight coffee is good for you. Honest to God.
What are the health benefits?
Keeps your mind sharp.
It's the caffeine.
Get you going.
I don't think caffeine is good for you, is it?
Black coffee is good for you.
Hopefully there's no coffee shops here, but
but you start losing it when you put the cream in and all the sugars. Like, dude, look into a No Names Please iced coffee sugar explosion.
I've seen
how many
videos
calories
of
are in that.
Dunkin' Donuts workers. I know C-Cat loves Dunkin' Donuts. The Dunkin' Donuts workers will make these coffees, and they'll be these giant cups. They'll put about 1.5 pounds of ice in it, and then they're just going to dump sugar. And this is what people order. This is not just how Dunkin' Donuts does it. This is what people order. It's like 8 sugars and 8 caramels, and then they put in this godforsaken mixture to mix it up a little bit. Then they put in a dash of coffee at the end. And then all of a sudden, these people are wired, and then wondered why they can't sleep at night. It's because you're putting that rocket fuel into your body.
And I told you, Kyle, when I went to college and stopped playing the 3 sports I played, I blew up a little bit. I got big, and when I really started losing 100 pounds and getting my life back, really, the
coffee
black
was big in
that?
that?
It was, dude.
That was big?
It was
were you a coffee guy in college?
Not as much as I am now. I was a coffee guy in college for the sugar explosion, if that makes sense. But when I really started wanting to get everything back under wraps and to get my health back, I really looked. My brother really sold me on the black coffee, and as you said, it was a suppressant to not eat. And I lost a lot of weight by running on the treadmill and fasting. And that's why, like I told you, I love fasting, but I got to say, man, a 23-hour fast is just insanity. And I'm really going to have to put on a display here at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus.
CCAT, our wonderful producer back at the City Place Studios, you are a coffee drinker, and you do like to dazzle your cup.
Well,
so
yeah,
to
he
speak.
drinks.
What's your takeaway on this? Do you believe in the sort of the garbage that Rizzo is spewing on?
Why is it garbage? Why is it garbage?
The targeted comments that he is making towards your drink orders. What's your takeaway on that?
Sometimes when you're a good boy, you need a treat. And I've been a good boy in these past several months. And,
every day.
You know, after
Twice
a late
a day?
night, got home from work at 10:30 last night.
I've been a good boy today. Let me
I needed
this
to
sugar
pick me up
extravaganza.
to come back into work, and I thought, you know what? One little treat that can walk in my hand, a little sweet treat. Tried something new today. You know, I'm not exclusive to one coffee provider. You know, I'd sleep around a little bit with a couple of the industries on my way to work. They know me by my name. I give my business card out. They remember the Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
well, let me ask you this. What parts of the day do you drink coffee, both of you? And I want to start with CCAT. What parts of the day is it important for you to have coffee? I'm going to assume the morning. Are there any parts of the day where it's a no-go or a yes-go on when we need coffee?
I only drink coffee driving into work. I don't need it to start my day. I do it as a treat on certain days of the week when it's on sale.
Start my morning immediately.
Coffee.
2 to 3 cups immediately when I wake up.
2 to 3 cups?
2 to 3 cups immediately when I wake up. And then in the afternoon, I have a cup. You've seen me with my
Just
afternoon
one cup.
coffee. Yeah, I try to keep it 4 and under. 4 black coffees and under.
You have bad days, and all of a sudden you're 7 cups in, and you're seeing different colors that don't exist.
No, coffee doesn't really distort my vision. But you're right. There is something, Colin, to. There is something.
You're almost too wired.
But yeah, you drink too much caffeine and you feel, really like, wow, I need to eat something.
Do you have trouble falling asleep?
If I drink it, I try.
Can you get tired at 10:45 or 11 p.m. when you're getting up at 8 o'clock?
I try to cut the coffee intake after 6 o'clock because I'm a night owl, and with the new schedule that I've had here at ESPN West Palm, I usually go to bed at like 12:31 in the morning.
Right. But what time do you get up?
I get up at like 8:30. 8:30.
So you get your 8 hours, but it's matter like if you're getting up at
8:30.
6 a.m. one day and you need to get to bed at 10:30, could you capably do that?
Yeah, but as long as I shut it down by 6 p.m., absolutely.
But you need to shut it down.
But I need to shut it down at 6 p.m. Okay. But I also, coffee,
it's part of your routine.
It is. And in the morning, put 2 and 2 together why you're drinking coffee in the morning as well. I don't want to come off disgusting on the air, but, it also, it's kind of a laxative.
We put that together.
Correct. But it's a good way to flush the system out and clear out early in the morning.
Right. You flush the system out necessary for Mike Rizzo. And apparently it's great for you in terms of health benefits.
Yeah, black coffee is good for you.
If you're a doctor or something, and if you want to sell me on the health benefits
my
of
grandmother,
caffeine, don't do
my
it.
grandmother is 88 years old, and her parents were 95 when they passed away.
What?
She's drank 4 cups of black coffee every single day.
I'm not saying
and she is right here, baby.
I'm not saying you're knocking on death's door if you drink coffee, but I'm saying you're not going to turn into the Hulk and it'd be shredded because you're drinking coffee.
I'm not saying I'm going to be shredded because I'm drinking coffee. For the benefits I think that it gives me and the pick me up that it is.
So you don't eat breakfast?
I really don't believe in breakfast. No,
you don't believe in breakfast.
I don't. Breakfast for me is like I'll eat breakfast for dinner. I love breakfast food items. Don't get me wrong, but I can't eat like really early in the morning. I just can't do it.
Because you haven't drinking coffee.
I just can't do it.
Well, you're drinking coffee.
But at the same time,
it's like the chicken or the egg. The coffee's first.
My brother and my sister and I were all the same way. You want to know what I think it's from? My mother, God bless her soul, always would overdo breakfast in the morning before school, and we would always eat breakfast before school.
Wow.
I think that's a little bit what it is, and like. Now, like when I started living on my own back in the college days, I'm like, Jesus, I don't have to eat, and then it just turned into me not eating, and then the fasting came, and I'm a big believer in the fasting in the morning and the clearing out and the coffee. So,
Interesting.
I'm not a breakfast guy, but I love breakfast food items.
So give me an example. Have you ever, run out of coffee? You haven't had coffee for a couple of days here. What have been the side effects
of not drinking coffee?
Let's say, have you ever gone a couple days here where you didn't have access to coffee? How did you respond physically?
A little cranky. Kyle, a little cranky. A little cranky.
But, so don't talk to Mike before you got your coffee and you went to the restroom.
The good news is I found out, Colin, my absolute last resort in the morning is walking in my apartment complex through my pool, because on the other side of the pool there's an espresso machine.
So you need espresso and the coffee.
But what it's a
backup.
It's the triple backup. It's the backup to the backup.
How many backups does one guy need? And you have the coffee machine in the office as well.
Yes, correct. And the coffee machine in the office, listen, Brian, Stephanie, I think it was more or less Kelly Gabriel who is, whoever was involved in that coffee machine. It is amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm quite fond of the fact that I haven't necessarily been on the caffeine wave. I believe in the natural energy. I believe it also is money too. I don't want to spend money on coffee. I don't get anything out of it.
Is my great grandfather the cafe? The cafe?
Yeah,
no cafe.
No, I understand.
No cafe.
Yeah. You sound like a tourist.
I've never gallivanted the Italian countryside like you.
They don't say. Yeah. But it's
what
funny.
do they say? What do they say?
Yeah, I mean, they say they all speak English. That's what they say.
I see.
Unless you're the more southern you get, of course.
So, am I the only person? Actually,
no, everybody drinks coffee.
Okay.
In Italy. That is 100%. But it's more espresso. It's in shorter bursts. They drink tiny cups. The macchiatos. They go small.
Right, and not to get too far off the rails here, but you mentioned that they all know English. Do we need to learn another? Is that something we need to do down while we're out here?
I want to get back into I'm good at Spanish.
Are you?
Yeah. I haven't done it it's been a number of years, but I was good at it. So I'd like to get back into that, of course, because geographically in the South Florida area, there's so much Spanish influence.
Colin, I was a 3.8 student, really, my whole life. But the one time I got 3.4 is because I failed Spanish.
So you're not a second language guy.
And it breaks my heart.
Studying Italian
I would try.
hurt my Spanish.
I would try, and to the point where my mother would drive up to the high school and beg the teacher to pass me because I really was putting in an effort. I was really putting in an effort.
Luckily, you got ESPN Deportes right there next to us.
And Julian, my good buddy.
And you got a bunch
Elias.
of guys. Damien, guys who are bilingual and excellent. In terms of translating on the fly like that. That's the perfect way to learn.
You want to know what's awesome about Deportes, too, with their social and stuff? They, have the English subtitles for an idiot like me who doesn't speak Spanish. So, I'm able to see what they're saying. You know me, I love my soccer. So
what language should Mike Rizzo learn? If it's not Spanish, maybe we'll put you in, a Chinese course.
No,
Mandarin.
I'm fascinated by Japanese culture.
If you can't learn Spanish, you're not going to learn Japanese.
Why?
Japanese is a very complicated language.
Come on, it can't be that hard.
All right. If you're a Japanese teacher and an English translator, please call in and let us know, 888-760-3776. We go to the phone lines. We go to New Jersey, Cologne, New Jersey. Joining us now, Cologne, what's going on? What's on your mind?
Hey, guys. First of all, I did hear that coffee does lessen the risk of heart attacks. So that's probably one of the benefits on coffee. Right?
Okay.
What did he say?
Heart attacks.
Lessen the risk of heart attacks. So
lessens the rate or increases the rate?
Lessens.
Lessens
the risk of a heart attack.
Okay.
And also, I think you have to be a maniac to be a Jets fan and a Browns fan. So these days, anyway. And for the Jets, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I cannot believe this team. Yesterday, the one thing that I wanted to look for was less penalties. And I don't know with the refs or with the Jets, but we got 22 in all penalties, and that was the horrible game to watch with no flow whatsoever. And listen, you got Devontae Adams. Don't let that fool you. We're going to probably get a little better. We're probably going to win some games. We're going to probably have a chance to make it to the playoffs. And then we'll go up week 17 to Buffalo, and they're probably going to break our hearts again and lay a big fat egg up there.
Yeah.
This team is not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
This is the Jets. They do the same thing every year to us.
Yeah,
We should have learned last year when he got hurt. It's deja vu all over again.
Hey, this is what happened to the Jet fans. Appreciate the call, Cologne. That was Cologne from New Jersey. Say, same story, different. I mean, the same song, different year for the Jets. Getting Devontae Adams, I sort of agree. Partially because I didn't think that the wide receiver was the most glaring need in the team. I know they have talent there, but I just don't think the play calling, the offensive line, Rodgers getting battered every single game, and he's throwing the ball quickly too. He's one of the best in the league at throwing it quickly.
Yep.
But
I also call more or less it's appeasing Rodgers, and I'm tired of the narrative of with Aaron Rodgers and everything going on in there in New York. Wasn't Rodgers supposed to be the key piece that was missing from this team?
Yeah. And now it's coaching, because now you got a coaching limbo.
Right.
We shifted Jupiter. Max and Jupiter joining Russo and Rizzo now. Max, what's going on? What's on your mind?
What's up? I don't know if it's just something with people from Cleveland as well, like myself. But, yeah, black coffee, no breakfast is how us people from Cleveland start the day. So I'm with Rizzo on that one.
My man, Max.
Another one is, go Guardians, right, Rizzo?
Max, I'm worried.
Bring it back to Cleveland 1-1.
Partner, I'm worried. I thought the Yankees played an awful game last night, and they still beat us like a drum. Any faith going into the game tonight? Because you got to give me some courage, partner. I'm kind of doomsday right now.
I agree with you about last night. I will say this about last night. We didn't use any of the bullpen last night of the key arms.
Right.
Bobby on the mound tonight with a healthy bullpen and a day off tomorrow. So all hands on deck tonight.
And Maxie, one more thing, brother. How about Vogt going to Cantillo? I mean, what are you?
That was the worst part of the game.
What are you doing, Cantillo?
Naylor too was a mess.
Bo behind the dish is a whole other conversation that I'm sure Max agrees with. But I can't believe Vogt went to Cantillo. Honest to God, I know he's had his bad moments, though. I thought Vogt has been pretty doggone good besides that move last night, Max.
Oh, yeah, he's been great. No really complaints so far. Obviously, kind of reminded me a lot of Game 2 in that Tigers series, by the way. It's
right.
With his managing, just reminded me a lot of that. So we'll see what happens. I am confident tonight. I'm guaranteeing it. We're going to tie it up 1-1.
Thanks, Max. My man, Max.
Good call,
it.
Max. And Jupiter thinks that the Guardians are going to take the Yankees tonight. We want to get into that. The Guardians and Yankees game 2 tonight. Mets going to go with their alternates. They got a couple interesting pitching decisions. Game 3 of that one is tomorrow. The Mets tied it up yesterday off a grand slam of Mark Vientos. We'll get into that. The baseball side of things. Stick around. It's Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Theo here. EDS is yes. You've heard me say that over and over. So I need you to keep this website in mind too. EDSIsYes.com. For the most trusted AC specialist here in Palm Beach County, EDSIsYes.com. For 24/7 support, EDS is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. There are so many reasons why EDS is yes when it comes to your air conditioning and plumbing. EDSIsYes.com. That's EDSIsYes.com.
Time now for a PNC pause. PNC Bank is committed to making a difference in the lives of the customers they serve in the South Florida community. See how at PNC.com. You're listening to ESPN 106.3.
Welcome to Homestead Miami, your home for the racing highlight. A track as vibrant and colorful as South Florida. An Xfinity and Craftsman Truck Series playoffs doubleheader on Saturday. A Cup Series playoffs showdown on Sunday. And it's all caliente.
Side by side for the race lead.
NASCAR playoffs weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. October 26th and 27th. Get your tickets now at homesteadmiamispeedway.com.
Hell of a job, guys.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers.
It's the Good Greek Spiro. For the best move ever, go to goodgreek.com.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers.
Hurricane fans, get ready for one of the biggest rivalries in college football. On October 26th, it's the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida State Seminoles at Hard Rock Stadium. It's an orange out, wear orange, and bring the noise in a game you don't want to miss. The Canes and Knowles, October 26th. Tickets are going fast, so secure yours now by visiting MiamiHurricanes.com or by calling 1-800-GO-CANES.
I'm Nicole Rubenstein Armstrong, CEO at Rubenstein Law. In 1988, my father started the firm with just a handful of files and a dream. When I joined him 20 years later, Robert Rubenstein was already a household name. Since then, the firm has grown to 20 offices across 4 states. We've brought justice to hundreds of thousands of injured clients. No matter how many people we help, we value each and every client as if it's still just one lawyer and a dream. If you've been injured, call us.
Rubenstein Law, 1-800-FL-LEGAL. Office in West Palm Beach.
It's a Twin Peaks Tuesday. Twin Peaks, the ultimate sports lodge for eats, drinks, and scenic views. This is ESPN 106.3.
Kaiser University's flagship campus, the 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees in the heart of South Florida. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 20 national championships, including the 2024 Women's Swimming and Diving Championship and 2023 football, lacrosse, and men's swimming and diving titles. Visit KUSeahawks.com for the latest.
Doing right by a player that you care deeply about and you want to be a first-class organization. And then on the other side of it, it's like what are our options and, what can we do to get better? The chances of changes are very high. Like, no one's that's just the reality of it, right?
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Mouth Mike Tannenbaum. You just heard him there. I swear, every time he comes on, you get the bleeps and the blurs and the dump button ready because he is coming to swear up a storm. That was Mike Tannenbaum earlier in the show. I think that was with Theo Dorsey, and one of them was with us last week.
Right.
Mike doesn't care. That's the bottom line. Mike doesn't care that ESPN West Palm has to abide by FCC regulations and cannot swear on the radio. He doesn't care.
Right.
He thinks about Get Up, and he thinks about First Take, and he thinks about all the stuff he could do on the television side of things. Mike Rizzo and Colin Russo, he doesn't. That's a little side piece.
Right.
It's a little fun excursion, a little field trip for him, so he's just going to swear up a storm.
It's okay.
No,
it's
not.
It's all right.
No.
We're not encouraging that. We're not encouraging that.
C-Cat, it's all right.
It makes I'm the one in charge of hitting the dump button to make sure the bad words don't make it to air.
Okay.
And you think when you have a weekly guest on who's on the station 4 or more times a week that I can kind of kick back, relax, and enjoy his football insights with having to hover on the doomsday button. I don't.
Have you brought your grievances to him?
I brought it up for the first time before he joined the show earlier today. Hey, Mike, scratching my head
he
like...
swore? And then he still swore?
It was tough.
Unbelievable.
Definitely did it on purpose.
Mike Tannenbaum. Oh, my goodness. Lord. It's a sports bar language.
I wish Mike would come here. Listen, I'm about to put on a legendary display.
I think he was a little confused with the fact that this is a one-off event at the moment with the Great Chef's Tailgate. We're over here at the
I'm going to put on a legendary display at around 7:15.
We're here live at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus down here in South Florida. The Great Chef's Tailgate will be kicking off here at 6:30. You can still get tickets, I believe. Go to spiritofgivingnetwork.org/events or come in and you can get it at the door as well. You got over 20-plus restaurants and breweries that are going to be setting up shop here in this great, luxurious ballroom here at the Innovation Campus. And they're going to be setting up, giving out samples. You're going to be trying everything. And Mike and I, so to speak, are going to be very, very excited to get involved here.
Colin, we're going to be putting on a display.
I'm going to be putting on a show. I'm going to be eating around the world. So keep track. We'll be posting some of it on the Boca Raton Instagram and the ESPN West Palm Instagram and Twitter, and stick along with that. I'm going to be eating around the world here. I'll put together a video so you can get a feel. It'll be like Epcot at Disneyland. You know how people do that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Love Disney. Love Disney. Disney World.
Disney World, excuse me. Have you been?
I've been to both. Having my godfather and my uncles live in L.A., I've been to both. World is better. In my opinion.
Disneyland in Anaheim. Listen, I don't know. I know ESPN is technically a Disney company, but Disneyland is a waste of time.
Disney World, it blows it completely out of water. It's not even close.
I completely agree. I think Anaheim, it's right next to that godforsaken Angel Stadium, which is an awful, awful ballpark.
You were about to say something.
Awful ballpark. It's right near Chapman University, which is actually a nice little campus. But I've been in that area. It's a waste of time. But
is that the next team on the way out, by the way?
Nah,
I think it is.
Nah, they're hanging around.
You think
they're
so?
hanging around. Yeah.
You think
yeah,
so?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be the Tampa Bay Rays that are going to be on their way out with
Well,
that Tropicana Field. Did you see that? It seems
how much is it? How much
they
is
were saying in the 9 figures.
Oh, God.
So those who don't know, the Hurricane Milton that passed through the Tampa area, it destroyed the roof of Tropicana Field in that ballpark where the Tampa Bay Rays play. And they're in the middle of a dispute on getting a new ballpark, shifting locations. I know they're over in St. Pete, so it's a terrible location for a Tampa team. And it's a nightmare, and they can't get people in the ballpark to begin with. But now it's apparently going to be a whole ordeal to get these guys to rebuild that roof. Now what? They're in the middle of – they're going to have to play in Orlando. They're not going to be able to have that ballpark next year.
And talking with our chief and our chief director of ops, Dave Drew, that's from Tampa. He told me, he's like, Riz, I'm worried the owners just aren't going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
So I wonder what the deal is with the insurance side of it and the city side of it. Is this going to be like sort of the kick in the butt they need to really get something rolling
or
on that?
sell
Because
the
they
team.
need to.
God forbid, sell the team.
Yeah. Those owners make too much money on those teams. I agree. You're speaking to the choir if you're talking about the Oakland A's too. But they make too much money on it.
Yeah.
The evaluations go too high. Speaking of baseball, of course, Guardians-Yankees. Yankees took it over the Guardians yesterday in Game 1 of the ALCS. They got Game 2 tonight. Garrett Cole's on the mound. We spoke with Max and Jupiter a little bit before, but you're nervous about this.
I am. I think Garrett Cole is still Garrett Cole. I know a lot of people thought Cole kind of lost a lot of what he had because of the spider attack and whatever.
It did, and it nicked him for a year.
Yeah,
and then he figured it out.
I still think he's Cy Young candidate year in and year out and one of the best to do it. I tried explaining this to my family members last night who were excited about the series and whatever. They have Juan Soto. We have Josh Naylor. They have Garrett Cole. We have Alex Cobb. I know there's something about mojo and theme, and that's something my dad, my old man tried selling me on, and my aunties and my grandmother, like, Michael, we have magic. It's the magic is in the air. Listen to Colin on your show. He's on. There's no magic when you have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, and I have Josh Naylor who needs to lose 50 pounds, and I love Josh.
To be fair, there is mojo involved in baseball. I do not think the Guardians have any of it. I thought it was the Tigers and the Mets who had their mojo, and the Guardians stole it. I don't know if they stole it and took it and using it, but the Mets are now the team with the mojo.
But Max and Jupiter, a big Cleveland fan who called our show earlier, a good listener of ours, he mentioned that Vogt didn't use any of our good bullpen arms, and he's completely right. So
you got to get ahead in the game.
I think he punted. Like, as sad as this is going to sound, I think Vogt went down 2-0 and said, "All right, we're playing for tomorrow."
I thought he
punted.
They also had a Game 5 on Saturday, where there was an all hands on deck. You got to utilize the rest at some point.
And that's
the Yankees are rested here, so it's going to be a tricky game, especially with they escaped the Rodon game where Rodon blows up in the middle of the game. They escaped that. The Yankees did. And, of course, they got Garrett Cole tonight, who is a proven postseason asset. And, he hasn't been as great as he has been in the past, 2019. But Garrett Cole is still their ace that they want on the mound in a big spot. So I would say that for a couple of reasons, I don't think the Guardians, number one, have the offense. But I also think they're getting in their own way.
Now, Rocchio has played very well for the Guardians. And I thought it was big for a young player like him to hit a home run last night because he had a good series in the Detroit series. He's batting over 300, and then he hits the home run last night in Yankee Stadium. God forbid Tanner Bybee goes like 5-6 scoreless innings, and you get another home run from Rocchio, and you're up 2-0, and then you're able to pitch your best bullpen. Colin, my best case scenario is that Bybee goes 5, holds scoreless, because it's hard to go 6 in the playoffs, I understand that. But, have Kate Smith come in. Have Clase. Clase's been doing the whole 2-inning save, which I can't stand.
You can't do that until you have a lead. That's the problem. You're going to need to hit Cole.
I think Rocchio, I think a young player like Rocchio, who, God forbid, doesn't know any better. And when I say he doesn't know any better, I think he could be a player tonight who could have another home run because he's a rookie and, he doesn't know anything yet. I go back to a 2016 Frankie Lindor. I know he wasn't a rookie, Colin, but he went on an amazing run for us in the playoffs, and he had amazing numbers, and he was in his second year. So, you've seen young players for Cleveland step up in big moments before. we're going to need that tonight, and you're going to need the bullpen to close the door as well once Bybee hopefully is done with his 5 innings.
I agree with that. Maybe the young player, they're unafraid.
Right, they don't know any better.
But you're going to need a whole lot more than that. You're
going to need Jose.
You're going to need a whole lot more than that.
Are you a Jose Ramirez guy? You don't mention him at all.
I think he's very underrated in terms of the grand scheme of how he's been performing consistently, but he hasn't been that terrific. The offense, outside of really Quan, hasn't been consistent.
Quan's been unreal.
Quan's been great. But the rest of the offense, it's either they're lied over dead on the side of the road, or you finally get some juice out of it.
Let's give some kudos to Lane Thomas too.
Sure, absolutely. Lane Thomas
has said, but
of course.
To your point, maybe he's not hitting for average.
You don't know what offense you're going to get, and the fact is they need 4 guys who are. That's why the Mets are great, because it's always somebody different with the Mets. It's Vientos one day, it's Lindor the next day, Alonso, Starling Marte getting a double up the gap. It's somebody else every day. The Dodgers are the same way. Teoscar Hernandez here, Kike there, Ohtani finally gets something done there. Freddie Freeman, despite not being able to move, can still hit something up the gap. The Yankees haven't even had their best hitter perform in the postseason, and they have that. The Guardians don't have that luxury right now.
In the playoffs, it's been 3 guys for the Guardians. It's been Quan, it's been Thomas, and it's been Rocchio.
Yeah.
Outside, now Jose hit a big home run in Detroit.
He hasn't been great. Not as great as he should be.
No, and you're right. But we've seen star players struggle. Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Judge has struggled in the postseason. Now, I say that, and he's probably going to make me eat my words tonight. But Colin, it's just different when you have. It's different when you got Juan Soto. And I'm not
the toughest
at
bat
good.
baseball.
He doesn't strike out.
Yeah.
The guy does not strike out. He'll foul off 12 pitches. And if he does strike out, he's going to foul off 12 pitches and get that pitch count up on your pitcher.
The Yankees, of course, have the talent. So you got to think, where do the Guardians go from here? They got to be pesky. They have the bullpen. The Guardians are the favor switches into their side of the ballpark if they have a lead going into the 7th inning, the 6th, 7th inning.
I want to get your opinion on this, and I know it's a good 4, but Judge, Soto, Stanton's
been great.
That's what I mean. So give me who's the 4? Outside, I know this sounds horrible, but outside of those 3, right?
Yeah,
no one else really scares me.
Cabrera has not been great. And Volpe's been up and down. He's a good glove.
Torres has had a couple of hits.
Yeah,
but he's horrible with his glove.
Verdugo stinks. But the thing is,
those 3 have been
You want mojo.
You want mojo.
You want jazz.
I guess all right. Yeah,
I'm not even a big Jazz guy. I don't think.
But
Jazz
I think he's
either,
worth.
But.
I think he's worth the conversation of putting in that. That's a good shout,
Maybe.
C-Cat.
I don't think
Yankee. Obviously, C-Cat are a Yankee fan, but. I can't believe Stanton is having the postseason he's having. Judge is struggling, right?
Yeah,
and then Soto hit his first home run last night.
To Stanton's credit, I give him. He's been a pretty viable postseason player. I want to loop in a Yankee fan in this conversation. Christian Cat back at the City Play Studios. In terms of talent, we know the Yankees probably have the edge in terms of top end. But are you afraid in any way of the Guardians being that pesky team that could kind of sneak up and that with that ball? He's laughing. All right,
I'm
clearly
not at
well,
all.
It's every
the postseason didn't begin. It really hasn't begun until we get to the World Series and square off with either the Mets or the Dodgers.
It's
the
Yankee
easiest path
that
to a
drives
World
me.
Series they've ever seen.
Did you watch the game yesterday and the fact that the Yankees stranded about 100 batters on base and that without the wild pitches and the rookie, what's his name?
Rocchio?
The rookie, the pitcher, the Castillo? Cantillo throwing grounders, to the backstop. Is there not anything there? Because that's the whole reason that they were able to get a viable lead, no?
Talking to me? Dude,
yes,
no,
I'm
not worried. He should be worried. Rizzo said the exact sentiment. The Yankees played like absolute garbage last night, and it didn't matter. And no one was worried.
But that's what they've been doing. They did that against the Royals, too. The Royals gave them runs, especially in Game 1.
I don't think – here's the sad part. Number one, I could see the look on C-Cat's face, and it's quite frankly making me upset. But he's right. I mean, Yankee fans, they don't take us seriously. The Guardians, I keep saying we. I got to stop saying that. I'm sorry, folks. The Guardians have not beaten the Yankees in a playoff series since 2007. Colin, you were 5, and I was in the 7th grade. It's just what it is. We see those pinstripes, and we wet our pants, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of New York. I'm sick and tired of the pompous fans. I'm sick and tired of Aaron Judge and hearing how great they are.
Hold on.
It sucks.
But the same thing I'll say is all you need to do is steal one on the road.
Easier said than done with Cole.
After 9-0 with the Mets.
No faith, Colin.
After 9-0 against the Mets, people were saying, I know it was a bullpen game and the Mets have more magic than the Guardians do right now, but all of a sudden they won that game and the series is completely changed. So ultimately, I think that all you need to steal is one. I think this has a 5-game series written all over it, but I ultimately, you got to steal one.
See, you don't even believe what you're saying.
But the thing is also,
he doesn't even believe what he's saying.
I'm trying to talk you off a ledge a little bit.
It's not a situation where the Guardians can sneak up on the Yankees, because the Yankees actually have hate in their heart for the Guardians, because Josh Naylor's a clown who is as bombastic as you can get when he has a little sliver.
3 years ago.
Yes, he has a little sliver of success, and he pokes the bear of the Yankees. Now the Yankees will not overlook the Guardians. They'll squash them like the bug of an organization they are.
My God, dude, I hate the Yankees.
The one thing I'll say about that is
by
the
the way,
Yankees did not squash anybody yesterday.
How about this? How much
did well.
How much is the Yankee payroll? How much is the Guardian payroll? And we're still at the same place. Listen,
I would hope so. It's the highest place the Yankees can be with home field advantage in the ALCS.
Here. Our owners are cheap, fine, but I would take our front office over anybody. I would take Antonetti. I'd take Tierney.
I would take them over anybody as well. But you're talking about the Guardians, and you know what? It's not going to be enough to take down the Yankees. I'm sorry.
I would take Tierney and Antonetti over who runs the Yankees? Cashman.
Cashman.
Yeah, okay.
You don't need to. That's a silver line.
It is. I'm just making it.
I'm trying to find something here.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Then you got your hat. You got a good front office.
I do. We have a great front office. We have a great manager.
You can't act like this series is over. It's been one game. But they're in trouble. Those two things can both be true.
More protests out of your stadium to change the name, because the name's changed already. Things are looking up for the Guardians. Think about that. No longer problematic.
Listen,
he's sitting back there hungry at the City Place Studios. His stomach's growling, and he's taking it out on us.
I was not. I'll say this, guys. I was not happy that they changed the name. So.
Yeah,
I was not happy they changed
That's
the name.
another conversation for another day. We're live here at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, the Brick. Mike Rizzo and I for Russo and Rizzo. The Great Chef's Tailgate will be kicking off here pretty soon here. We'll get one more, and then Mike has got the Boca Bowl Weekly coming up immediately after the program. Stick around. We'll close out the program next. It's Russo and Rizzo live here, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-FREE. Listen, if you were in an accident, car accident, truck accident, slip and fall, trip and fall, injured on the job, workers' comp issues, call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. They will fight for you. They do not get paid unless you get paid, and they will fight to get you the maximum compensation that you know that you deserve. Do not deal with the insurance companies on your own. That's impossible. They make it as such. Anajar and Levine will help you to take back control of your life. Again, you'll always talk about your case with an actual attorney. They answer the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you to take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Call Anajar and Levine, my accident attorneys. Anajar and Levine, accident attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Palm Beach County's premier college football event is back. Don't miss the 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, Wednesday, December 18th from FAU Stadium and broadcast live on ESPN. Last year's game saw in-state Rising Power USF beat Syracuse out of the ACC. What will this year's game have in store? Big names, big teams, big action. The 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, December 18th at FAU Stadium on ESPN. Don't miss out. Find out more at BocaRatonBowl.com.
PNC Bank is committed to helping the customers and the communities they serve move forward financially. To do this, they're implementing their Community Benefits Plan that focuses on affordable home lending, small business loans, and employee volunteerism, and creating other opportunities to give back on a local level. They're proud to be a part of the South Florida community. See how PNC Bank can make a difference for you at pnc.com/ourcommitments. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
She ain't gon' tie me down. Why you on the road? Got it on the shirts, all the hats, all the clothes. What you want right now?
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Closing out the program here, a Tuesday edition of Russo and Rizzo live here on ESPN 106.3, live at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus at the Brick for the Great Chef's Tailgate, which will be kicking off here for the Boca Raton Bowl momentarily. Mike and I are here live, excited to get started here. And, of course, the Boca Bowl Weekly with Mike Rizzo will be airing immediately after. Is it an hour?
Yes, 6 to 7. We're going to have 3 guests on, and one of our guests is a Miami Dolphin legend. So stick around to find out more, folks. 6 to 7, Boca Bowl Weekly with Mike Rizzo. And Christian Cat this weekend.
Yeah, Christian Cat. And then, of
I'm
course,
not talking on that show.
Why not?
I got work to do, pal.
I can't even go to you for a college football take?
No.
Okay. Roger that.
So that's Christian Cat back at the City Place Studios,
Is
sitting
he-
there hungry, alone, and tired.
Is
and
he-
a little
Hang on. The C-Cat. I'll tell you what, C-Cat's been going at. I understand.
I understand. I would be annoyed in his position
But
as well.
at the
this
same
is the
time,
game.
like, he's been going at my neck lately.
Yeah, well,
Right?
he's a
He's been going
Yankee
at my
fan.
neck
You're
lately.
a Guardian fan. He's a Yankee fan. He's sitting there. He does not get to try any of the great food that is going to be on display here at the Great Chef's Tailgate. Over 20-plus restaurants and breweries that are going to be handing out samplings. We'll be taking pictures. We'll be setting out the whole thing. So C-Cat's going to have to be, unfortunately, looking at that. I understand why you're riled up today, C-Cat. It's okay.
I'm a classist when it comes to baseball. Like, there are the kings and queens, and then there's the plebes. You're the jester, the guardians. Haha, make us laugh, Josh Naylor, you fat dude.
Yeah, but like you're wow.
Yeah.
First of all,
I meant to
the
say something
Yankees are that false
God,
king.
C-Cat.
It's the false king. You know, the one that thinks they have divine intervention and that's the reason they're king.
Here's the
and
thing.
and everybody knows that he's a phony and a fraud until proven otherwise.
The 90s, the only time the Guardians have ever played well against the Yankees were the late 90s. And actually, 95 and 97, 98, those teams.
Yeah, late
with
90s.
Jim Thome.
Yankees did
yeah,
nothing
and
late
unfortunately,
90s at
those
all.
were like the great Yankee teams of in the past 30 years.
Well,
yeah.
the early 2000s is when they won back to back to back to back. Like,
Right.
But in 97, 95, they couldn't touch the Guardians.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
Yeah, it was. They got them in the early onset before Torrey figured it all out, and they got the Yankees there winning those championships. But you could talk screaming till the cows come home about the Guardians being that little brother to the Yankees, and
We really have been.
yeah.
But C-Cat could be a little more nicer about it,
Yeah.
I think.
Mets,
a
of
little more
course.
humble.
Mets, of course, tied it up against the Dodgers in Los Angeles yesterday. The Mets finally had some time off. The Dodgers playing off a Game 5. Game 1 of that series on Sunday did $8.25 million on ratings.
You told me that on our way to the beautiful Boca Raton Innovation Campus, and
that's incredible.
That
was on Sunday night against football.
Yeah,
I like the rating
And
stuff, so I get into that. But in terms of baseball being happy with the matchups that they have, I got to see what the Yankee Guardian
yeah, and then
game
that's
is.
what I was going to go to next. We were wondering how it would fare against Monday Night
But that's
Football.
a New York market and LA market. I mean, if it is a Yankees-Dodgers World Series, that game, those are going to do $15 million. So people talking about nobody cares about baseball. They care. You just got to put the right. Baseball's had the problem of, again, we talked about it a little bit last week, of not always having the big market in the big game. But they have an opportunity here with two of the biggest markets, two of the biggest fan bases, and two of the biggest international stars in professional baseball facing off in a World Series environment. To me, that is that's gold mine right there for Major League Baseball.
Right,
and it shows that they just need the product.
Correct. And New York versus LA, I think, plays any day
Huge
of the
story.
week.
Huge story.
Any day of the week. So the Mets playing the Dodgers is always a story. And, we think the Yankees are going to advance. They're the superior team from the looks of it. And I personally think either way in the NL, it's a win-win. Now, people said who are we talking to? It said it would be a turnoff if it was New York versus New York. I completely disagree.
Ratings, I would get into it, but I understand because a lot of people get turned off by the idea of New York. Remember, it happened in 2000, and the ratings were not good.
Okay,
But that was
all right.
the thick of the Yankees dynasty. That was right then when the Yankees were really getting rolling there. To me, I think it's a little different now because there's a little bit of a depriving factor. It's been a fast. We've been talking about fasting. It was a fast of Yankee success, and there's been a fast of Mets success. And I think because of that, there's a story there that the Yankees haven't gotten it done in 15 years. But I understand the idea that, imagine being a non-New York. You're sick of New York. I don't even love New York either, and I don't love the New York fans. But that is, to me, there's a lot of intrigue there because
And
New York.
And I understand the whole conversation. It's good for the sport, and it's good for the MLB. And
I got no skin in the game, so that's what I root for. I root for what's
think
good for baseball.
With how last year went, Colin, with Rangers and Diamondbacks, I personally loved it. I thought it was obviously the Rangers.
It wasn't a great series.
It wasn't, but I loved that two teams like
run.
that. Yeah.
D-backs, Phillies
yeah.
is great. Yeah.
And as a small market fan, I loved it, but at the same time, I know that's not what baseball wants and necessarily what fans want.
Yeah.
I did radio in Peoria, and everyone was like, Riz, the World Series is going on. They're like, these teams are irrelevant. They're not, and granted, I was talking to Cubs and Cardinals fans. Those are household teams in the MLB, but still, like, even with someone who didn't necessarily root for the Cubs and the Cardinals who lived in Peoria told me, Riz, it was unwatchable.
Yeah.
I was the only one watching that series where I was at.
Yeah.
Honestly, man.
And again, it doesn't help that the fact that the actual series itself was not good. 5 games.
Yep.
So I think from that perspective, I think that the Yankees and the Dodgers in a good series with the 2 of the big stars front and center will do really well. And I think I would be into New York as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to either side. It's just where you get the Guardians involved is where you get killed. So I don't know. But it's Russo and Rizzo live here at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus for the Great Chef's Tailgate. We're going to be getting started here pretty soon. All the food is out. I swear this room is filling up with the beautiful, what is it, the smell, the fumes of just excellent food.
It smells amazing, and I'm certainly looking forward
we got
to everything. Yes.
With the thumbs down in the Ohio State.
Well,
unbelievable.
So open things up.
We got a Penn State Nittany Lion right
correct.
here. We got a Michigan fan? What did the Michigan fan and the Penn State go together?
Well, that's the legendary. That's the legendary O.J. McDuffie.
Yeah,
so I'll let him slide. But I'll tell you what, Paige, I don't know why you had that awful jersey on, but we're going to get you in Columbus this year because you're going to have about 4 losses at the end
Ohio
of the year.
State coming fresh off a loss, might we add, at Eugene, Oregon, an ugly one. And Penn State escaped at USC as well.
Correct.
So who's keeping track of that?
Correct.
But that will be on Boca Bowl Weekly. We're coming up next with Mike Rizzo. It's been Russo and Rizzo live here. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
This is shaping up to be a great event. I know it's about to get kick-started here. I think you can still buy tickets at the door over at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, so stop on by. All you can eat, food and drink. It's going to be 20-plus breweries and restaurants, and it's going to be a whole event. Theo Dorsey, if theoretically speaking, which you could hear if 2 to 4 weekdays right here, you could catch him on the MC in here as well.
If you guys can't tell, Colin is counting down the seconds until the show is over where he could go gorge himself with some wonderful food right now. You're counting the seconds.
I'm not going to admit that. I'm not going to admit that.
He is counting the seconds.
It smells good in here. I'm allowed to say that.
He cannot wait to gorge himself with delicious food, something that miserable Yankee fan back in the production studio doesn't get, right?
Somebody's got to keep the lights on. Listen, you're welcome.
I appreciate it.
O.J. McDuffie hating on the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, as he should. He went to Penn State, but I'm going to have to ask him when I interview him. He's from Ohio, man. Come on, what's he doing going to Penn State? So we'll touch on that in a little bit here, O.J. I appreciate it.
You'll hear from O.J. McDuffie, the former Miami Dolphin, former Penn State Nittany Lion back in the 90s. He'll be speaking with Mike Rizzo on the Boca Raton Weekly Show, which will be coming up right after this. You can hear Yankees Guardians on ESPN 106.3 as well. Big thanks to Christian Cat, as always, back at the studios helping us out on the 1s and 2s, really making a sacrifice here as we take on and indulge ourselves in the Great Chef's Tailgate for the Boca Raton Bowl. At the Brick, the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, sending you off into Wednesday. Enjoy the baseball, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. It's been Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.